Peppa Pig and the I Love You game. It's Valentine's Day, says Mummy Pig. What's that? asks Peppa. That's a day we celebrate everything we love, says Mummy. We can play the I Love You game.
Wow!
Ooh, says Peppa. I love games. I'll go first. I love my birthday and balloons and birthday cake and blowing out the candles, says Peppa. I love playing dress up. I love you, Cookies. What do you love, George? asks Granny Pig.
Dinosaur,
says George. Rainbows, calls Peppa. I love rainbows. Peppa also loves reading books and dancing.
Wow!
I love spiders, says Peppa. I love you, Mr. Skinny Legs. Oh no, says Daddy Pig, not me. I do not love spiders. I don't even like them. Daddy Pig loves his movie camera. Action, he says. Mummy Pig loves her sparkly pink dress.
Wow!
What do you love, Granny Pig? asks Peppa. I love my blackberry bush and picking berries, she says. And I love your blackberry pie, says Daddy Pig. I know what you love, Grandpa Pig, says Peppa. Your boat. Grandpa Pig loves going to the amusement park. So does George.
Dinosaur,
says George. Oh, George, says Peppa, you love lots of other things. What about vegetables? George nods.
Dinosaur,
he says. Well, I love lots of things, says Peppa. I love Susie Sheep. And I love Madame Gazelle and Goldie. I love picnics and the ducks. And planting seeds in Grandpa Pig's garden.
Wow!
I love making pancakes, says Daddy Pig. Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig have more ideas too.
Hooray!
And I love when Daddy Pig makes pancakes, says Mummy Pig. Don't forget about Polly Parrot, says Granny Pig. Oh yes, says Grandpa Pig. We all love Polly. says Polly. I love playing my drum and drawing pictures, says Peppa. I love you, Pizza. Is that all? asked Mummy Pig. Are you sure there isn't anything else? Well, says Peppa, there is one more thing. Muddy puddles! I see, says Mummy. Is that what you love most of all? Peppa thinks for a moment. Most of all? She smiles. That's easy. What I love most of all is jumping in muddy puddles with everyone I love. The end. Around the World with Peppa. It is almost summer break. Peppa is outside with her friends.
What are you doing this summer?
asked Wendy Wolf.
I am going to the park,
says Peppa. Peppa is excited. She is going to spend the summer jumping in lots of muddy puddles.
Hooray!
I'm going to the jungle, said Pedro Pony.
Wow.
We are going to the desert, said Emily and Edmund Elephant. I'm going to the mountains, said Danny Dog. I'm going to the South Pole, said Susie Sheep. The next day, Peppa and her family are driving to the park. The car goes chugga 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 bang clang bong. Oh dear, says Daddy Pig. The car broke down. Mammy Pig calls for help. Look, says Peppa, here comes Miss Rabbit.
Hooray!
Miss Rabbit says it will take all day to fix the car. Do not worry, she says. You can borrow my airplane. Everyone climbs into the airplane. Mummy Pig wants to drive. Are we supposed to be upside down? Asked Daddy Pig. Our next stop is the park, says Mummy Pig. To jump in muddy puddles, cheers Peppa. Daddy Pig opens his map. I see some trees, he says. This must be the park. Where are the swings and slides? Asked Peppa. This looks like a jungle, says Mummy Pig. Peppa's friend Pedro is in the jungle. Mummy Pig lands the plane on the ground. They find Pedro. This jungle is fun, says Pedro. There are parrots and monkeys. Can we visit my other friends too? Asked Peppa. Of course, says Mummy Pig. It is Daddy Pig's turn to fly the airplane. Where next? He asks. Danny Dog is in the mountains, says Peppa. Danny Dog is climbing a big mountain with Captain Dog. Daddy Pig lands the airplane on the mountain. Hello, Danny, shouts Peppa. This mountain is very high. Peppa and her family fly away again. Soon, Daddy Pig sees spots of yellow sand.
Wow.
It must be the desert, he says. Mummy Pig lands the airplane on the sand. It is not easy. They find Emily and Edmund Elephant. We saw a lizard, says Edmund. It must be shy because it ran away. Then the lizard jumps on a rock. There it is, Daddy Pig shouts. He scares the lizard away again. Oh no! Dr. Elephant sighs. Do you have other people to visit? He asks. Next, they fly to the South Pole. There are lots of penguins and Susie is there.
Hooray!
Peppa, says Susie. Peppa and Susie are best friends. They are very happy to see each other again. Peppa has fun with Susie and the penguins, but Peppa still has to go to the park. Peppa and her family get in the plane. They fly back around the world to get home. Hello, Miss Rabbit, says Peppa. We flew all the way around the world. Wonderful. Your car is working again, says Miss Rabbit. Peppa and George climb inside. Flying around the world was nice, says Peppa, but something was missing. A muddy puddle. The end. First words with Peppa Pig. Level 2, Mr. Fox's van. Meet Peppa, Freddy Fox and Mr. Fox.
Hooray!
Learn all, at, be, black, did, do, have, knew, there, they, under, want, white. Read, things, banjo, rope, petrol, bike. Freddy Fox had a new bike and a new hat. The hat was black and white. Freddy went to see Peppa with the new bike and the new hat. He put on the black and white hat. I have a new bike and a new black and white hat. They come from my dad's van, said Freddy Fox. Do you have a bell on the bike? Said Peppa. No, if I want a bell, my dad will have a new one in the van, said Freddy Fox.
Wow!
Mr. Fox has a lot of things in his van. They went to find Mr. Fox's van. Mr. Fox did have a new bell in the van. I had a bell in the back under the hats, said Mr. Fox.
Wow!
If you want a new thing, there will be one in the van. Do you have a cup in the van? Said Peppa. Mr. Fox did have a cup in there. Mr. Fox had lots of cups at the back under the bikes. You have a lot of things in the van, they all said. If you want a new thing, there will be one in the van, said Mr. Fox.
Hooray!
Do you have a banjo in the van? Said Peppa. Mr. Fox did have a banjo at the back under the cups.
Wow!
You have a lot of things in there, they all said. If you want a new thing, there will be one in the van, said Mr. Fox. Do you have a tree in the van? Said Peppa. Mr. Fox did have a tree in the van.
Wow!
Do you want this tree? It was at the back, under the lamp, said Mr. Fox.
Wow!
You have a lot of things in there, they all said. If you want a new thing, there will be one in the van, said Mr. Fox. Do you have a hen in the van? Said Peppa. Mr. Fox did have a hen in the van. I've got this black hen in a white box. It was at the back under the clock, said Mr. Fox.
Wow!
You have a lot of things in there, they all said. If you want a new thing, there will be one in the van, said Mr. Fox. Mr. Fox and Freddy went to the van. Mr. Fox has a lot of things in the van, said Peppa. If you want a new thing, there will be one in the van, they all said. The van did not go. One thing Mr. Fox did not have in the van was petrol. Do you have a rope in the van? Said Peppa. Mr. Fox did have a rope in the van.
Hooray!
I have a lot of things in the van, but I must have petrol too, said Mr. Fox. The end. Read it yourself with Peppa Pig playing football. Pig and Susie Sheep are playing tennis. To you, Peppa, says Susie. To you, Susie, says Peppa. George wants to play tennis too. You can't play tennis, George, says Peppa. But you can be the ball boy. You have to get the ball for me and Susie. Peppa and Susie love playing tennis. Ball boy, says Peppa. George has to get the ball, so he runs and runs. George does not love tennis. Peppa's friends are here. They want to play too. We can play football, says Danny Dog. Hooray! Everyone cheers. Everyone loves football. The friends get into teams. They have a boys' team and a girls' team. Pedro Pony is in goal for the boys and Rebecca Rabbit is in goal for the girls. Richard Rabbit gets the ball. He runs and runs. He kicks the ball past Peppa and Susie Sheep.
Wow.
Then Richard kicks the ball past Rebecca and into the net. Go, says Danny Dog. Hooray! Cheered the boys. Rebecca Rabbit gets the ball. She runs past Pedro Pony. Next, she throws the ball into the net. Go to me, says Rebecca. It's not fair, says Pedro. Rebecca does not get a goal, says Danny. You can't throw the ball in. Daddy Pig is here. I will help you, he says. The next team to get a goal will be the winners. Richard Rabbit has the ball. He runs and runs. Then he kicks it into Pedro's net. Go! The boys win! Cheers, Danny Dog. It's not fair, says Peppa. But the ball went into the boys' own net, says Daddy. So it's an own goal. The girls cheer. Hooray! It is fair, says Peppa. We win. Everyone loves football. The end. Read it yourself. Peppa Pig. Daddy Pig's office. Peppa and George are here to see Daddy Pig's office.
Wow.
What do you do at the office? Asked Peppa. You will see, says Daddy Pig. This is the intercom, says Daddy Pig. Can I press the button? Asked Peppa. Yes, says Daddy Pig. Peppa says hello into the intercom. This is the lift, says Daddy Pig. Can I press the button? Asked Peppa. Let George have a go this time, says Daddy Pig. George presses the lift button. The lift goes up to Daddy Pig's office.
Wow.
Daddy Pig, Peppa and George all go in. This is Mrs. Cat, says Daddy Pig. Hello, Mrs. Cat, says Peppa. This is Mr. Rabbit, says Daddy Pig. Hello, Mr. Rabbit, says Peppa. Peppa and George are here to see the office, says Daddy Pig. This is what I do at my desk, says Mr. Rabbit. He stamps paper with a stamp. Can I have a go? Asks Peppa. Yes, says Mr. Rabbit. Stamp, stamp, stamp. This is what I do at my desk, says Mrs. Cat.
Meow.
She has a computer and a printer.
Wow.
Can I have a go? Asked Peppa. No, let George have a go now, says Daddy Pig. Mrs. Cat lifts George up. He has a go on the computer and printer. Print, print, print. Peppa and George are printing with Mrs. Cat's printer.
Hooray!
Look at all this paper, says Mrs. Cat.
Meow.
It's time to go and see my desk, says Daddy Pig. Do you have a stamps and a computer? Asked Peppa. No, says Daddy Pig, but I have pens. Pens are the best. Can I have a go? Asked Peppa. Peppa and George like Daddy Pig's pens. This is good, says Peppa. Draw, draw, draw. Time to go now, says Daddy Pig. Daddy Pig's office is good.
Wow.
I like Mr. Rabbit's job and I like Mrs. Cat's job, but I like your job the best, Daddy, says Peppa. The end. Peppa Pig. Peppa at the farm. Peppa and George have come to help Mrs. Badger at the petting farm. Oh, says Mummy Pig, looking around. Where's Mrs. Badger? Mrs. Badger, calls Peppa. Where are you? Let's look inside the barn, says Mummy Pig. Found you, Mrs. Badger, says Peppa.
Hooray!
Hello, my lovelies. Mrs. Badger takes everyone to see the chickens. Now, where have they got to? She says. Chickens, calls Peppa. Where are you? Tractor, shouts George. We're looking for chickens, George, says Peppa, not tractors. Daddy Pig helps George open the tractor's door. Well done, George, says Daddy Pig. You found the chickens. After they feed the chickens, Mrs. Badger shows everyone some little baby chicks.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, she says, one has wandered off. Little chickie chick, calls Peppa. Where are you? Peppa hears something in the bush. Found you, chicky chick, says Peppa. Next, Mrs. Badger takes everyone to see the guinea pigs. One guinea pig seems to be hiding, she says. It's all fun and games here at the farm, says Mummy Pig, giggling. Little guinea pig, calls Peppa. Where are you? George spots something inside the hutch. George found him, cries Peppa. Thank you for your help today, my lovelies, says Mrs. Badger. Now everyone is where they should be. That was fun, says Mummy Pig. But wait, where's Daddy Pig? Daddy, calls Peppa. Where are you? Peppa and George spot something behind the haystack. Daddy, cries Peppa and George. Daddy Pig chuckles. It really is all fun and games here at the farm, he says. Daddy Pig loves having fun at the farm. Everyone loves having fun at the farm. The end. Peppa Pig. Peppa gets a vaccination. Mummy Pig was taking Peppa to the doctor for her health check and vaccination. Are we all ready? Said Mummy Pig. Yes, said Peppa. I've got Teddy. And I've got your red book, added Mummy Pig. What's that? Asked Peppa. It's your very own book, said Mummy Pig. It helps doctors see how you're growing up.
Wow.
Hello, Peppa, said Dr. Brown Bear when they arrived. Have you come for your health check and vaccination? Yes, said Peppa. I've brought my red book and Teddy too. Very good, said Dr. Brown Bear. You're seeing Dr. Polar Bear today. Suddenly, a bell rang. Ah, that means she's ready to see you, explained Dr. Brown Bear.
Hooray!
Peppa and Mummy Pig walked into the doctor's office. Hello, said Dr. Polar Bear cheerily. Who do we have here? I'm Peppa, said Peppa, and this is Teddy. Lovely, said Dr. Polar Bear. Now, did you bring your red book? Peppa handed her book to Dr. Polar Bear. Excellent, said Dr. Polar Bear. Let's start by seeing how tall you are, said Dr. Polar Bear. She took Peppa over to the measuring stick. Peppa stood up very straight. Wonderfully done, said Dr. Polar Bear. I'm a big girl now, Peppa said proudly. Yes, you are, said Dr. Polar Bear. She got out her pen and wrote Peppa's height in the red book. Now, Peppa, can you hop on these for me, please? Said Dr. Polar Bear, pointing to her weighing scales. Peppa stepped onto the scales. These scales tell us how heavy you are, said Dr. Polar Bear. Ooh, said Peppa. That's good, said Dr. Polar Bear, writing in Peppa's red book again. Now, it's time to use a stethoscope to listen to your heart, said Dr. Polar Bear. What is a stethoscope? Asked Peppa. A stethoscope helps me hear your heartbeat.
Wow.
And the air going in and out of your lungs, said Dr. Polar Bear. I put this bit on your chest and listen through the earpieces. Peppa, said Dr. Polar Bear, would you like to listen to your heart beating? Yes, please, cried Peppa. Dr. Polar Bear put the stethoscope earpieces on Peppa's ears. Said Peppa. It's going bumpy dump, bumpy dump, bumpy dump. Bumpy dump, bumpy dump, bumpy dump. Now it's your turn, Teddy, said Peppa, putting the stethoscope's chest piece on Teddy's chest. Is Teddy's heart going bumpy bump, bumpy dump, bumpy dump? Asked Dr. Polar Bear. No, said Peppa. Teddy's heart doesn't do that because Teddy is a toy. Oh, I see, said Dr. Polar Bear, smiling. Next, Dr. Polar Bear got out her special doctor's torch.
Wow.
I'm going to look in your ears now, she said. Dr. Polar Bear shone the torch into each of Peppa's ears. said Peppa. That tickles. Dr. Polar Bear checked carefully inside Peppa's ears. That all looks lovely, she said. Now I'll check your mouth, said Dr. Polar Bear. I need you to open wide and say, ah. Dr. Polar Bear opened her mouth and showed Peppa what to do. Like this. Ah. Peppa opened her mouth as wide as it would go and stuck her tongue out. Ah. She yelled very loudly. Wonderful, said Dr. Polar Bear. Do you want to check my nose? asked Peppa. Thank you, Peppa, said Dr. Polar Bear. I can see that your nose is working very well.
Hooray!
Everyone laughed. Dr. Polar Bear put lots of ticks in Peppa's red book. Now, it's time for your vaccination, said Dr. Polar Bear. Do you know why we have vaccinations, Peppa? Peppa put her hand up. Yes, they stop us from getting ill, and that helps the people around us too. That's right, said Dr. Polar Bear, impressed. Sometimes vaccinations are given as a little spray in your nose, and sometimes as a tiny pinprick in your arm. Peppa held Teddy as Dr. Polar Bear gave her the vaccination. It was very quick.
Hooray!
Well done, Peppa, said Dr. Polar Bear. Would you like a sticker now? Oh, yes, please, squealed Peppa, jumping up. I love stickers. Me too, said Dr. Polar Bear, smiling. Are there any questions you want to ask me before you go, Mummy Pig? said Dr. Polar Bear. No, thank you, Doctor, replied Mummy Pig. I have a question, cried Peppa. Have you had your vaccination, Dr. Polar Bear? Yes, Peppa, said Dr. Polar Bear. Good.
Hooray!
Then you can have a sticker too. Peppa loves getting stickers from the doctor.
Hooray!
Everyone loves getting stickers from the doctor. The end. Peppa Pig. Peppa goes skiing. It is a lovely snowy day, and Peppa's family are going skiing. First, they have to take a ski lift all the way to the top of Snowy Mountain. Oh, that looks a bit high, says Daddy Pig. Daddy Pig does not like heights. Everyone gets on the ski lift. This is fun, calls Peppa, and she sings a little song. In the air, in a chair, snow is falling everywhere. Daddy Pig does not think it's fun. He does not like the way the ski lift clunks and clanks. At the top of Snowy Mountain, Daddy Pig falls out of his chair and into the snow. Are you all right, Daddy? Cries Peppa. Yes, Peppa, says Daddy Pig. Let's get you to your skiing lesson. Madame Gazelle starts the ski lesson. Peppa, George, and all their friends learn how to start and stop. Whee! Skiing is fun, cries Peppa, as they go down the baby slope. Can we see you ski now, Madame Gazelle? asked Peppa. Oh, I don't know, replies Madame Gazelle. Please, everyone cries. Very well, says Madame Gazelle. Voila! Madame Gazelle does a magnificent ski jump, and everyone claps and cheers.
Hooray!
That was amazing, says Peppa. Thank you, says Madame Gazelle. I was the world champion at skiing and I won this cup. Ooh, everyone says. Which mummy or daddy would like a go? asks Madame Gazelle. I will, says Mummy Pig. Where does this path lead? Down the mountain, cries Madame Gazelle. Help! Where are the bricks? Shouts Mummy Pig. She can't stop, cries Daddy Pig. Let's catch up with her in the coach. Mummy Pig skis down the mountain, along the road and past the shop. Stand back, cries Mummy Pig. She even does a loop-the-loop at top speed. Finally, everyone catches up with Mummy Pig. She has crashed straight into a snowdrift. You're a walking, talking snowman, Mummy, laughs Peppa. I have never seen such amazing skiing, says Madame Gazelle. This cup belongs to you now.
Hooray!
Everyone cheers as Madame Gazelle presents Mummy Pig with her world champion cap. Hooray! says Peppa. My mummy is a skiing champion. The end. Peppa Pig. Merry Christmas, Peppa. It is Christmas Day. Peppa and her family are opening their presents. Peppa unwraps a toy car. George unwraps a toy aeroplane. Hooray! They cheer. Vroom! Daddy Pig reminds them to be careful when playing. But Peppa is too excited. She trips and bumps her arm. Ow! Peppa says she is very hurt. Thankfully, Mummy Pig knows just who to call. Dr. Brown Bear. Dr. Brown Bear is sitting at his desk. A bumped arm, you say? And on Christmas Day? I'll be right there, Dr. Brown Bear says. Dr. Brown Bear arrives at Peppa's house. Can you wiggle your fingers? He asks Peppa. Peppa can. That's very good, Dr. Brown Bear says. But just to be safe, we'll take a trip to the hospital. At the hospital, Dr. Brown Bear takes Peppa to see Miss Rabbit. Miss Rabbit is the nurse. Peppa looks around. She sees lots of Christmas decorations. Ooh, Miss Rabbit, the hospital is all Christmassy, Peppa says. Yes, Miss Rabbit replies. Looks lovely, doesn't it? Miss Rabbit takes a picture of Peppa's arm with the X-ray. An X-ray shows her the bones inside Peppa's body. The X-ray shows your arm will be fine, Miss Rabbit announces. And for being brave, you get a sticker. Hooray! Peppa cheers. Peppa loves stickers. Peppa walks out of Miss Rabbit's office. She sees a bed with Pedro Pony in it. Pedro Pony has bumped his leg. He has a sticker too. but Pedro looks sad. I'm sad because Father Christmas hasn't come, says Pedro Pony. Peppa is alarmed. That means Pedro hasn't gotten a Christmas present. Then Peppa and Pedro hear a voice in the hallway. Ho, 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 the voice says. It's Father Christmas. I'm here with Pedro's Christmas present, Father Christmas says. Thank you, Father Christmas, Pedro says. I wonder what it is. He unwraps the present. It is a toy boat. Pedro loves his present. Sorry I'm a bit late. I got stuck in a chimney, Father Christmas laughs. Thank you, Miss Rabbit, for looking after everyone at Christmas time. Peppa loves Christmas, even if it's at the hospital. Merry Christmas! Ho, 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 ho. The end. Peppa goes swimming. It's a lovely sunny day, and Peppa and her family are at the swimming pool. Peppa, George, let Daddy put on your armbands, snorts Mummy Pig. Today is George's first time at the pool, and he's a bit scared of getting in. Why don't you just put one foot in the water, suggests Daddy Pig. Maybe George should try both feet at the same time, says Mummy Pig. Splash! Mummy Pig convinces George to jump into the water, and he loves it. Shouts George happily. Ho, ho. Well done, George, snorts Daddy Pig. Rebecca Rabbit, her brother Richard, and their mother arrive at the pool too. Hello everyone, cries Rebecca. Squeak, squeak, says Richard. Richard, hold on to this float so you can practice kicking your legs, says Miss Rabbit. George, would you like to try kicking your legs too? asks Mummy Pig. Giggles George. Ho ho! Very good, laughs Daddy Pig. But please try not to splash. Big children don't splash, asks Peppa. Big children are very good at swimming, declares Peppa. When George and Richard are older, they will be able to swim like us, won't they, Rebecca? Yes, says Rebecca, as she watches the boys kick and splash. Peppa and Rebecca race each other up and down the pool with their swimming armbands on. They are having lots of fun swimming and splashing in the water. Oops! Richard has dropped his toy watering can into the pool. Mommy, cries Richard. Sorry, Richard, I can't reach it. It's too far down, says Miss Rabbit. Luckily, Daddy Pig is an excellent swimmer. He takes off his glasses and dives down to get it. There you go, snorts Daddy Pig. Says Richard. Well done, Daddy, says Mummy Pig. Yes, thank you, Daddy Pig, says Miss Rabbit. Oh dear, Richard is so happy to have his watering can back that he splashes Daddy Pig with water. George laughs. What a silly little piggy and rabbit.
everyone has had a fun day at the swimming pool. The end.
Peppa Pig. Peppa in space. It was Space Day at Playgroup. Peppa and her friends were very excited. Does anyone know what space is? Asked Madame Gazelle. Space is a physical universe beyond the Earth's atmosphere, said Edmund Elephant. Edmund was a bit of a clever clogs.
Wow.
That's right, Edmund, said Madame Gazelle, and today we are going to talk about something you'll find in space. The moon! Shouted all the children. Yes, said Madame Gazelle. Can I live on the moon? Asked Danny Dog. It is possible, replied Madame Gazelle, but you would need to take oxygen, water, and lots of other things with you. Can you jump in muddy puddles on the moon? Asked Peppa. No, said Madame Gazelle. There is no rain to make puddles. What can we do on the moon then? Asked Peppa. You'll soon find out, said Madame Gazelle, because today we are going to the moon, shouted Pedro Pony. Not exactly, said Madame Gazelle. We're going to the space station. Oh, sighed the children. At the museum you will train to be astronauts, said Madame Gazelle, and see what it's like to walk on the moon.
Wow.
Wow! Gasped the children. Miss Rabbit arrived to take everyone to the Space Museum.
Hooray!
Really, we should be going there in a moon buggy, said Danny. Not a bus. How long till we get there? Asked Peppa. As long as it takes you to finish your apple, replied Miss Rabbit. I finished my apple, said Susie Sheep. Does that mean we're there? How about we sing a song for Miss Rabbit, suggested Madame Gazelle. Something like... But before Madame Gazelle could finish, all the children started to sing. We're going to the moon, will we get there soon? And they sang it to Miss Rabbit all the way to the museum. When they arrived at the museum, the children were met by a real astronaut, Grampy Rabbit. Hello there, fellow astronauts, he boomed. Our space training mission today will take us to the moon.
Wow.
The ride may be bumpy, but it will be worth it when you get to see what it's like to walk on the moon. Hooray! Cheered the children. The children put on their special spacesuits and boots as quickly as they could. It's time to hop on board our spacecraft, called Grampy Rabbit when they were ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1... Blast off! Cheered all the little astronauts together. Grampy Rabbit and the children zoomed off on their training mission. On their way to the moon, Grampy Rabbit told the children all about the different planets in the solar system.
Wow.
There's Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and the dwarf planet Pluto, he said. Robots have landed on Mars, but no one else has done so,
yet. George was listening very carefully.
Mars,
he whispered to himself. We have landed on the moon, said Grumpy Rabbit. Now, my little astronauts, it's time for you to see what it's like to walk on the moon. Just take one small step out of the spacecraft and one... Peppa and her friends all took giant leaps out of the spacecraft wearing Grumpy Rabbit's anti-gravity rubber bands. The children had so much fun bouncing up and down with the anti-gravity rubber bands. They sang a song over and over again. Listen to our space tune, we're going to the moon.
wow,
gasped Peppa, bouncing over Madame Gazelle's head.
walking on the moon is great, but jumping up and down on it is even better.
It's time to get down to Earth now, children, called Grumpy Rabbit. Oh, sighed the children. When they arrived back on Earth, the children were sad. Remember, children, your adventure isn't really over, said Grumpy Rabbit. It's just the beginning. If you keep training, you can be real astronauts like me one day.
Wow.
Yay, we're going to the moon,
sang the children, and they sang it on the bus all the way back to playgroup.
Space is amazing, Daddy,
said Peppa that night.
I want to be an astronaut so I can jump up and down on the moon every day.
But George had set his sights on somewhere else.
Mars,
he whispered. Ah, said Daddy Pig. Are you going to be the first piggy on Mars, George? George nodded his head and smiled. That night, George dreamt he had gone into space with Peppa, and they were the first little piggies ever to jump up and down on Mars. The end.
Peppa Pig, Peppa's Spooky Halloween. It was Halloween, and Peppa and George were at Granny and Grandpa Pig's house.
please can we only do spooky things today, Granny?
Asked Peppa. Yes, of course, replied Granny Pig. Most definitely, added Grandpa. Grandpa Pig loves Halloween. Shall we bake some spooky treats? Said Granny Pig. Yes, please, cheered Peppa and George. Don't these cakes look yummy? Said Grandpa Pig.
They're not yummy, Grandpa,
said Peppa.
they're spooky.
Oh, yes, very spooky, Grandpa grinned.
Your house isn't very spooky, Grandpa,
said Peppa. It isn't at the moment, said Grandpa Pig, showing Peppa a great big box. But let's see what we can do with these decorations.
Wow,
Gasped Peppa.
you have so many Halloween decorations.
Yes, said Grandpa. We've collected a lot over the years. After they had made the house spooky, Peppa and George wanted to make themselves spooky too. They looked in Granny and Grandpa Pig's dressing box.
Monster! Roar!
Shouted George, putting on a funny monster costume.
Look at me!
Cackled Peppa, who was dressed as a witch. And I am the spooky vampire, said Grandpa in his best vampire voice.
Let's try on all the spooky costumes,
said Peppa excitedly.
Mummy!
Shouted George, dressing up as a mummy and falling over his bandages.
Meow!
Purred Peppa, looking just like a witch's cat.
Ticka ticka!
Said George, tickling Grandpa Pig with one of his 8 furry spider legs.
I'm rattling my bones,
said Peppa, shaking her arms and legs in a skeleton costume. Dressing up in spooky costumes was lots of fun, especially when Peppa and George both dressed up as ghosts.
Boo!
Shouted Peppa, jumping in front of Granny Pig.
Oh, you scared me, Ghost George,
said Granny Pig.
No, I'm Ghost Peppa, Granny. That's Ghost George over there,
said Peppa, pointing and giggling. Peppa and George decided to change one more time. George liked the skeleton costume the best, but Peppa had something else in mind.
Look at me,
said Peppa.
I'm a magical Halloween unicorn.
Well, we can't have Halloween without a magical Halloween unicorn, can we? Laughed Grandpa Pig. Granny and Grandpa Pig gave Peppa and George a big round of applause.
You're both so spooky,
said Granny Pig.
What spooky thing can we do next?
Asked Peppa.
Why don't you put on a spooky show?
Suggested Grandpa Pig.
Yes, cried Peppa. We can invite Mummy and Daddy and our friends to watch it. That sounds like a lot of fun,
said Granny Pig.
Spooky fun,
asked Peppa.
Oh yes, of course, Peppa. Spooky fun,
said Granny Pig, laughing. Later that afternoon, Mammy and Daddy Pig arrived at Granny and Grandpa Pig's house.
Wow, Granny and Grandpa Pig
Have gone all out this year, said Mummy Pig as she knocked on the door. The door creaked open, and there stood Grandpa Pig in his costume.
Welcome to the spooky house,
he said.
I trust you have come to watch this evening's performance of the spooky show.
Yes, replied Daddy Pig, a little confused. Once all their friends had arrived,
It's time for the spooky show,
announced Peppa.
We hope you find it spooky!
cried George. Everyone in the audience clapped and cheered excitedly. Peppa and George took it in turns to dress up in the spooky costumes, jump in front of the audience and shout, "Boo!" George was a monster, and Mummy, and a furry spider, and Peppa was a black cat, a ghost, a rattly skeleton, and a cackling witch.
Ooh,
Gasped their friends, giggling.
so spooky!
At the end of the show, Peppa and George jumped out in their favourite costumes.
I'm the magical Halloween unicorn and this is Skeleton George!
Peppa cried.
We hope you enjoyed our show!
Peppa and George bowed as the audience clapped.
Ooh!
Cheered Danny Dog in his werewolf costume.
What a fantastic show,
said Vampire Grandpa Pig, patting Peppa and George on the back. Well done! Now then, everyone, said Granny Pig, it's time for some spooky dancing. Hooray! Everybody cheered, jumping up to dance to the funny, spooky music. Did you have a fun day at Granny and Grandpa's house? Mummy Pig asked Peppa and George on their way home. No, Mummy, it wasn't fun, replied Peppa. It was spooktacular. Peppa and George love Halloween. Everyone loves Halloween. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's Diwali. At Playgroup, Madame Gazelle is telling the children about Diwali, the festival of light. They are all drawing pictures. Now you all have a picture to take home to your parents, she says. The next day, Peppa and George wake up to sounds in the kitchen. We're celebrating Diwali, says Mummy Pig. Peppa blinks at the bright kitchen light. Everybody is up early for the festival. Mommy and Daddy Pig are busy cooking. They are getting ready for the party. Later on, Granny and Grandpa Pig arrive with presents and clothes for the children. Hello, Peppa. Hello, George, says Granny Pig. Are you excited about Diwali? All over the world, families are coming together, says Grandpa Pig. This year, we wanted to join in too. Auntie and Uncle Pig ring the doorbell. The whole family has come to stay. Hello, Chloe, says Peppa. Hello, baby Alexander. Mummy Pig frowns. I hope we have got enough food. I'll peel some more potatoes, says Daddy Pig. Everyone gets changed into their special outfits from Granny and Grandpa Pig. Even baby Alexander is dressed for the occasion. Wow, says Peppa. Everybody looks so beautiful. Now we are all ready, says Mummy Pig. It's time to light the candles. They are called diyas. Oh, says Peppa. Is it someone's birthday? No, Peppa, Granny Pig chuckles. Diwali is a celebration of light. The diyas bring us good luck, says Grandpa Pig. Diyas shine all around the house. Peppa and her family start to eat. What a feast, says Uncle Pig. Would you like seconds? Asked Mummy Pig. Uncle Pig asked Daddy Pig to pass him a potato, but Daddy Pig has gone outside. Daddy Pig is watching the fireworks. Happy Diwali, everyone, he cries. Happy Diwali, they all say back. Peppa loves Diwali. Everyone loves Diwali. The end. Peppa Pig, Susie Sheep. This is Peppa's friend, Susie Sheep. Susie is Peppa's best friend.
Hooray!
This photo was taken when we were babies, says Susie. Peppa gasped. We've been friends since the olden days. Susie likes playing doctors and nurses. Who will be our patient? Wonders Susie. I know, says Peppa. We can ask my daddy. Sometimes Peppa and Susie go camping together.
Wow.
I like sharing a tent with you, says Peppa. I like sharing a tent with you, says Susie. Peppa and Susie are both in a secret club. Can we join too? Asked Rebecca Rabbit. Yes, whispered Susie. Just say the secret words. Flubble double. Peppa has lots of fun with her friend Susie. When Susie goes away, Peppa feels a bit sad. But when Susie comes back, everything is twice as nice. Peppa loves Susie sheep. Everyone loves Susie sheep. The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.